Hi everyone, welcome back to another session of the series. Really glad to have you all for watching our series and thank you all for giving us that many love. So I welcome Rajvi Doshi, who's the finalist for college Colgate Inner Circle. Before moving to that, you know how most MBA students spend their first year figuring out what they want, scrabbling for internships, and hoping things finally fall into place. Well, today's guest decided to flip the entire script, and she's going to teach us about how there are really good programs introduced by big brands like competitive pre-placement programs in the country which we are not aware about when we step into MBA and which can give us ample opportunities for summer internship and may give us PPO as well. So she's currently in her like she has completed her MBA from SCMHRD Pune batch of 2026, and honestly her story is exactly the kind of thing this forum exists to bring you all. Please welcome Rajvi. And to warm up, I would say really glad to have you here. And before we get into the details, just let us give us a little introduction about yourself. Who is Rajvi beyond the achievements?
Thank you so much for having me today. I hope everyone watching this session is really pumped up for what's lying ahead of them. So I think you've mostly covered everything that was there about me. But yes, if I have to give a brief about myself, as you just mentioned, I was a finalist at the CIC program, the Colgate Inner Circle 2024 batch. And a very good thing about this particular opportunity is that everybody knows it's an immersive program, it's a training program. But the best part about it is that at the end of the program, you get a PPI. So it's like even if you do not convert the PPI, that opportunity itself is what matters. So even before even before I began my MBA, to have gotten even a PPI is, I think, a big thing about me. And once I joined my master's program, I think it really added to my CV. I mean, it was a big boost to my CV. I mean, whoever saw my CV, whichever company saw my CV, it was a really great addition. It was a really great pointer. And as far as MBA is concerned, yes, as you mentioned, I was a part of the 2026 cohort at SCMHRD, and I did my MBA in marketing. And then I did my 2 month summer internship at Aditya Birla Capital, where I also got a PPO, and I will be joining the company very soon. So yes, that's most of it about me.
Congratulations for your PPO that you got from Aditya Birla. And
Thank
really love
you.
that, really love your journey, how you have started from college, Colgate in a circle, the kind of pointers it had provided you, opportunity to talk on in the interview. So can you just break it down for us, like what it is and why should every MBA student should know about it? Because I know for a fact that I didn't know about Colgate Inner Circle earlier,
Hmm.
and I got to know, and I was like, okay, we didn't, like, most of the students in pan India, they don't know about such programs.
Yes. So as I mentioned, I was part of the
Yeah.
2024 batch of CIC. Now, back then, they did not really publicize it as much. They did not really put it out on social media. I mean, it was out there, but it was not to that level of intensity as much as it is now. So when I applied for CIC, I didn't know back then that okay, something like this existed or something like this has been happening for a few years now. So it was completely new to me, and I just happened to randomly stumble upon it. I mean, I was part of the Inside I Am WhatsApp community, and that's how I stumbled across Colgate Inner Circle. And why I feel it is very important for students of today to enroll into this program is, number one, it is a fantastic opportunity if you want practical hands-on experience even before you begin your MBA. So during the 2 days of this program, you get to meet a lot of people from other colleges. You get to interact with the senior leadership at Colgate-Palmolive. And that really adds up to your confidence, the way you communicate. And they also teach you a lot of things. They also show you how things are done, what the processes are, how the supply chain works, how the marketing works, and everything. Overall, 360-degree experience. So, why it is important for students is because getting such kind of exposure even before you begin your masters, it really boosts your confidence. It completely changes your personality, even if it's just for 2 days, but it is something that's sort of groundbreaking, and it also adds a very good point to your CV. Even while you're preparing for your summer internship or you're interviewing for different companies, you can always use the knowledge that you get from the CIC program in the future or in other case competitions. So I think it's quite relevant, and anybody who's wanting to do something different and wanting to gain practical exposure should definitely enroll.
That's really nice. So, can you walk us through the actual process? Like, what were the stages? How did it unfold? And what were you being evaluated on each step?
Okay, so I think it's been exactly 2 years since I applied for this program. So if I'm not wrong, there were, I think, two rounds during my time. The first round was, if I'm not wrong, a Google form that we were supposed to fill, I think, with all our details. And, there were a lot of questions that were asked to us about our journey, about our experience. If you're a working professional, then, they asked you about your work experience and everything. I think that was the first round. And the second round was actually the more crucial round because there you had to answer multiple situational questions, functional questions, and behavioral questions. And you were supposed to record a video. So there were a lot of questions asked. You were supposed to give your answer via a video. And I think there was also a little case study that they had given at the end. I think it was centered around one of their products, if I'm not wrong. I think one of their toothpaste, that charcoal toothpaste or some toothpaste. We were asked to watch an advertisement, and I think they had asked a question or they had given like a little case study. And we were, supposed to like give our interpretation or the target audience and the theme of the advertisement. I don't remember exactly, it's been a long time. But I think these were the two main rounds. I'm still not sure what the first round was. But yes, the second round was the more important one. And I think for what the parameters that we were evaluated on, I'm not exactly sure because that is something that, of course, we had never told कि आपको इस इन चीजों पे जज किया जाएगा. But I think mostly it was the way you communicate, the clarity of your words, how you are articulating your speech, how you're articulating your dialogue, and whether you're being able to understand things, whether you have um, that factor in you to be selected for such a prestigious program. I think these are mainly the things that they judge you on. Rest, I think it's, pretty internal, it's pretty confidential.
So, is there any eligibility criteria before getting into this program, or is it like open to all who have completed their UG?
No, it is not for open to everybody who've completed the UG. I think it's mainly for people who've gotten their MBA final offer letter. So
Okay.
anybody who's completed their UG, I think cannot apply for this.
Okay, so again, now the curious part is like everybody like who is either they got MBA from any college for that matter, they can go and apply for this and approach for the program, right?
No, I don't think it is for any college. I think they have a list
Specific
of
list.
certain
Okay, okay.
colleges that are, yes, eligible. So during my time, there were people from I am Kozhikode. There were people from, of course, I was there from my college, and another person was there. I
Yeah.
think from TIS, from no, not from TIS, from IM Mumbai, ISB Hyderabad,
So they
yeah,
have a list
SP
and
Jain also.
yeah,
Yes. So
and on
not
the base.
all MBA not all NBA convertees can apply for this. They have a list of colleges.
And again, so when we, approach this program or we apply for this program, do they have any
Hmm.
criteria, or we call it a screening criteria, and they, started that process of eliminating students on the very first
Hmm.
stage?
Hmm. I think now that you mentioned this, I remember, I think they did ask for, of course, the name of the college that you're getting in. And I think they also do ask you the percentile of
The
the
exam that
exams. I
you have
think
given,
either,
yeah.
yeah, either CAT or SNAP or, any other college exam that you've given. I think they do ask you for that percentile also. And I think they do also ask, um, I think percentages of your other educational areas. I
UG,
think
yeah.
10th, 12th grad. I think they do ask you that as well in the beginning.
Okay, and then they have your first screening, and after that, you can go and
Hmm.
have a tour for this 2-day program, and then the video and
Yes.
fall into place. Okay,
Correct,
so
correct, correct.
Srini, so when you say you prepare, like, did you prepare for the videos, or did you take any guidance from, like, seniors, or you look for people who have already been part of this program and you get some look? How did you prepare for this?
So like I said, I did not know about the existence of
Yeah,
this program. I just randomly happened to stumble upon this one day, and I did not even know that it's been going on. So I thought it's a first time thing,
yeah,
it's a one time event or something. So I just applied for it without thinking much. So I did not approach any senior or anybody for that matter. I prepared for it entirely myself, and I did not take guidance from anybody or from anyone. So I completely prepared for it on my own. The first round, I think, did not take a lot of time, but the second round, since it had like a video that I was supposed to make and a lot of answers that I was supposed to prepare,
prepare.
and there was a case study that I had to solve. So that took a lot of time, but again, there was no preparation that I did. So, from my knowledge, so I worked for a year and a half before my master's. So the experiences that I had gathered from back then, and um, the communication and the knowledge, I did read about the company so that I was able to
Yeah.
solve that case study well. So yeah, I think all of these things combined helped me. I mean, I did not do anything in particular, so there's not like a foolproof plan. There's no like a rule of thumb. You do it your way.
And absolutely, and that's really nice that you're being honest and you prepared yourself. So when you're preparing for it, as you mentioned, read about the company as well, read about the brand Colgate has, and since you mentioned the case study is about one of their product, and I guess this year also they are somehow going through the same pattern with little bit innovations, technology is there. So
Correct.
how did you start? Like, is it like you have to understand the industry first? Because you mentioned you have a work ex, and let's say you're coming from a different
Mhm.
industry, and this is a FMCG complete different. So how did you present yourself in that form? Because having a like, I wanted to understand what does the questions look like when you say behavioral, when you say technical.
So I do not have the questions with me right now, but I think I do have the answers that I had prepared from which I can tell. I think, see, there was situational, behavioral, and functional questions. Now, I don't remember all of them, but situational questions, I think the first one sort of um centered around, just a moment. I think the first question centered around, I think because I had a work experience, I think the question was a little different for freshers that I don't remember. But because I had a work experience, I think they asked me about a certain challenge or a setback that I had faced while I was working, what the challenge was, and how I faced it, how I solved the problem and everything. I had to explain the entire situation. So this basically, tells the people who are watching you whether you can solve problems, whether you are someone who can be relied upon, whether who is whether you are someone who is always on your toes.
Yeah.
So I think this was one question. I think one question was, I think, centered around teamwork. Again, I had a work experience, freshers had a
Yeah.
different question. I think it was centered around teamwork, how you worked with a team, what you did, something related to that. Then I think they also asked about a certain lesson that you learned from a novel or a book that you recently read? So I think back then I had read Integrated Marketing by BGS James. So luckily I was able to cite an example from that of what I actually learned, or what was one particular
Hmm.
idea or a theme from the book that really stuck with me. So this was one of the questions. I don't remember the functional or the other questions, but then there was a case study. I think it was around, it was an advertisement that they had given us, and it was about the Colgate Charcoal Clean Black Gel Toothpaste. So they had given us a YouTube advertisement, and they asked us what the advertisement is trying to portray, what are the underlying themes,
Yes.
what do you think is the target audience that Colpal has in mind via this advertisement? So there were a lot of questions around this particular product, and all of it combined, I had to answer it via the video.
Hmm.
So that's how I did.
That's really practical though, and I think a lot of people needed to hear that, since people are curious about like what stages will it have since it is pre-MBA. So how does it, like how much like what I wanted to ask, like does personality and presence play a bigger role than we think in this program? Because you're going to meet a lot of people who are coming from different
Yes.
backgrounds in the program, and then you are competing with thousands of people. So how
Hmm.
does personality really, because there are people who are freshers, right? And since you have a work ex, so freshers are completely in an unknown area and they feel like they don't even know how to talk exactly, how to network
Yes.
at times. So
Correct.
they'll
Correct.
anyway under pressure or feeling scared. So what is it like? How important is, grooming or building your personality in that sense?
So I think personality is extremely important. The way you present yourself, the way you carry yourself, even the way you talk, all of that matters because you need to make an impression, right? So the way you carry yourself, the way you talk, all of that really, really matters. So, that's where sort of the difference lies. So you just said that, because I have a work experience. Of course, there are people who come from a very fresher background. But I think it all boils down to how you communicate with people, how confident you look on the outside, even if you're nervous from the inside. I think that is the key. Always be extremely, extremely confident. Ask questions. There's nothing wrong in asking questions. People fear that if I ask this question, what if I look dumb, or what if I look stupid? But that's fine. You ask questions. It shows that you're somebody who is a curious person. It shows that you want to learn things. So I think all of this adds to your personality. Be well groomed at all times. If you are selected for the CIC program, they will give you a document with the dress code. So they always say wear business casuals. So it's not like you have to wear formals. So you wear business casuals, but be very well dressed, be very well groomed, talk to the senior leadership. It's a wonderful opportunity to be able to interact with them. So
Yeah.
grab that opportunity, talk to them because that is a place where your personality can shine. So that is extremely important. And even before they select you, they will see you in the video.
Yeah.
So even from the video, they will assess you. How do you talk? How do you articulate your points? Whether you're confident from your looks, how you are groomed, all of that really, really matters. So I think everybody must ensure that, these particular things are always in place.
Totally. So, was there any point where you felt like this is not going my way, or do I really wanted to do this? Because since you did it like in 2024, right, and it's way
Hmm.
back, and did you ever felt it like, okay, it's fine anyway, I got into MBA?
So, no, not exactly. I did not really feel that, why am I doing this? I shouldn't have. But there was a point where I was like, sort of, I had given up. So the first round, the screening, the first round, all of that was done. It was time for the second round, which was the most important one. And I think, if I'm not wrong, I had probably forgotten. not exactly forgotten, but I had misread the final date of submission, or probably had misread the final time of submission, the deadline. And I realized that the deadline is, I think, in the next 20, 30 minutes. And that amount of time is impossible to prepare answers, make the video and upload it. Even the uploading bit was very tricky. You're not just supposed to upload it on YouTube, on a Google Drive. You were supposed to upload it on YouTube, create a YouTube studio account. And I was like, this is not possible in the next 20, 30 minutes. So I'm like, it's okay, leave it. I mean, you're not going to be able to do it in the next half an hour. It's not possible. And then luckily, they extended the deadline by 2 hours. And I was like, okay, this is, I think, the time
Good
where I can do
sign.
something. So I just I read the questions, prepared the answers in my own way. I recorded the video. I think I had 2 or 3 takes of the video. And then I'm like, I'm finally gonna upload it and then we'll see what's gonna happen. I was like, I almost lost hope. But then, the 2 hour deadline extension sort of saved me. And I was able to sail through that.
That's really nice. So when you look back now, like since you reached to the final stage and you are among those 1,000 people, so do you think it genuinely think like it sets you apart now because you are a finalist, right? You didn't secure a PPI. So students who are preparing and didn't reach that stage, they'll still feel like, oh, I didn't get by this little chance. So
Hmm.
do you feel like it actually helpful for you? Did it really change something in yourself, and did you learn something from it?
Yes, I think definitely. Um, so before my MBA, I did not work in a corporate structure. Where I worked was more of a startup. It was in its growth stage. The startup was in growth stage. Now, because the atmosphere was very new, it was something that was very different. Um, I did get to know a lot of things, how things actually work in big corporations. And Colgate-Palmolive is an MNC. It's a multinational
Yeah,
corporation. So I really got hands-on experience of how things work there, how everything is structured, how everything is divided, allocated, and how there are different departments for everything. I got to interact with a lot of senior leadership. So I think all of this combined, and I even had, because I had a PPI, so I even had like a one-on-one with a board of 6 to 7 people. So I think all of this combined and all of these things culminated in I built that confidence in myself. So when I joined my MBA, I posted about my experience on LinkedIn. So once I joined my MBA, a lot of people approached me. They did tell me that, you were a part of Colgate Inner Circle. That's something really interesting. That's something really amazing that you've done. And all of this really built that confidence in me. I actually understood how things work in corporate structures, how things happen in big companies. And during the training program, they also give you practical exposure. Like you are on the ground. They send you to big retail stores, to wholesale shops, to retail shops, to supermarkets to see how the Colgate products are displayed, how planograms are made, how visual merchandising is done. They also take you through the entire supply chain. They show you the manufacturing part as well. So I think that really, even before an MBA, I think that really built a base for me.
true.
So when I started my MBA, I was not completely blank. Even though the program lasted only for 2 days, but I still had a little extra knowledge than other people in my
Yeah,
batch because I had seen things live. So I think that was something that was really good for me, and it really
true,
helped me
absolutely.
gain a lot of knowledge.
That is absolutely true. Even like that was the thing people generally didn't get, that even if you didn't get PPI, you got a lot of things. You are actually standing out of
Exactly.
the huge crowd,
Yes.
which didn't even, and there are
Yes.
students which didn't even get a chance to, apply.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, back when I applied in 2024, even though it was not, people did not know a lot about
Yeah.
this program, almost 3,000 people had applied. back in 2024. So you can imagine the number of people who will apply this year or who must have applied this
Yeah.
year. It's going to be, the number is going to be a lot more. So
Increases. Yeah.
obviously the competition is
Totally.
also going to be a
True,
lot
true,
more. And
true.
back in our time, being selected out of 3,000 applicants and being in the top 20, I think in itself is a very big
Huge
achievement.
achievement.
Exactly.
Okay. So, when, like, if somebody, as you mentioned, if now the competition is increased and day by day people are getting to know about these programs as well. So, what one advice you would like to give to these students who are going to apply, and where do they start? And right now, or like, since everybody got their results, right? And there is a very small amount of colleges, or I would say the institutes which can students can apply, right? So, where they should start and how they should start this preparation, applying for the program.
I think firstly, even before you apply for the program, be very clear if you really want this. Because there are a lot of people who, apply for things very randomly. They enroll in case competitions or they enroll in such training programs, but they do not have a clear roadmap of what they want out of it. So first, be very clear what you want out of these programs. Secondly, if you have finally made up your mind to apply, then start. Of course, there is not a lot of time you get to modify yourself or to sort of change yourself, but at least you have that time to, number one, read about the company, about their values and principles, because um companies that are such huge companies that are MNCs, they always look for people who are a cultural fit. So read about the company's values, their principles, their beliefs, and everything. And then, once the rounds start, so start building your communication, be very consistent. So what I've seen is programs or competitions that have multiple rounds, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, 4 rounds, or more than that. Eventually, people sort of give up in the middle. So if there are like 3 rounds, 4 rounds, people do 1 or 2 rounds and then they like, I'm done with this, or they lose interest,
Yes, true.
the interest fades away. So don't do that. If you have applied for something, even though it has multiple rounds of selection or it has a lot of parameters, don't give up. Be very, very consistent. If you want something, do it till the end. I have seen a lot of people, they leave things midway, they leave things in the middle and they lose interest. They move on to the next thing, then they move on to the third thing.
Yeah,
Don't do that. If you're really interested in something, then stick to that. Apply for it, read about it, communicate properly, network with people, network with, because now CIC is a big thing.
yeah.
Connect with seniors on LinkedIn who have already been a part of the cohort in the
Hmm.
previous years or who interned in the company. You get to know a lot of things through that also.
Yeah, and insider information, it's very hard to get. And once you'll connect with your
Correct.
alumni, it will give you a standout
Yes.
in the people who are applying for the competition.
Yes.
So
It gives
again,
you a lot of clarity.
true, true. One more question. Like, since you mentioned this was the first time you're giving it, and it's back then in 2024. So, if you get a chance to give it again, let's say just hypothetically, what is that one thing that you would like to change, and you want that this is one guidance I should get at during that time?
Um, I think there's not anything that I would do differently before the program, but if I have to do something differently during those 2 days, I think during those 2 days of the program at Mumbai, at the Mumbai office, I think I asked. So they had these multiple sessions with the leadership, with the senior managers, and you can ask questions, and you can talk to them, you can share your doubts, or you can just share your opinions. Now, I spoke quite less. I mean, I am somebody who is a very curious person and I do ask a lot of questions and I like to put my opinions forward. But back then I did not. So I think that is something that if I happen to apply again, I would definitely change about myself. I would talk a lot more. I would ask more questions. I would put my points forward. So I think that is something that I would definitely change. Rest, I think it was mostly good. Yes.
It's really nice. And honestly, this is such a, I think, a valuable conversation for those who are going to apply now, who are not aware as well. So then I think everyone who are going to watch this video, it will be a completely different understanding of what possible in an MBA, and more importantly, how to go about it and how to go after it and approach it. Because generally, if let's say you have applied and you don't know anyone at the time that who have applied for it, right? But now they have someone and they have someone to approach and go for.
Yes,
So the fact that you weren't for something before most people even knew it existed, right? And made it to the final stage, and that's not luck actually. And since you mentioned the consistent effort and the intentions really matters, and I hope everyone who are going to watch this video, it will be really helpful to them. And thank you for being here and for being
definitely.
so open with your about your whole journey. And we really appreciate it. And all the best for your future
Yes,
and endeavors. And
yes.
congratulations for the
Thank you
PPO.
so much. Thank you, thank you. And to all the students or anybody who's watching this, I just wish you a very big all the best. I mean, this journey, of course, is not easy. There will be a lot of ups and downs, but I think patience, efforts, and consistency is the key. So ensure you have all of these in you, and then everything's gonna work in your favor.
Absolutely true. And I would say if you found this useful, share with someone who really needs it. And we'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Thank you, Rajvi.
Thank you.